Hi, I'm Cheryl Kahn. As the city of West Palm Beach plans its future mobility network, we're talking to nationally known cities expert Gabe Klein. Gabe is co-founder of CityFi and former commissioner of the Chicago and Washington, D.C. Departments of Transportation. A TED Talk speaker, he's also a best-selling author and consultant to West Palm Beach for the mobility study and the planning of our future transportation network. Gabe will be headlining the city's public meeting on the Okeechobee corridor on Monday, June 12th at the Palm Beach County Convention Center. Thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to come down.
Well, first of all, you've analyzed a lot of transportation and mobility networks. And when you look at West Palm Beach's, what do you see? What's working and what's not working?
West Palm Beach is a really interesting case. You have a pretty dramatic increase in the number of people that live in the area since 1990. You're on your way to another, large increase through 2040. And so you have this base of people that live there, but then you have a great deal of visitation from tourists around the country on a seasonal basis. You now have the president has his other White House there over the bridge in Palm Beach. You've got a challenge because east-west, you have a very limited number of connections over the water, and you've got bridges under construction. And so I think, in some ways it's unique, but in some ways we see these problems around the country, and they're really issues of change management and adaptation, and how are we going to grow in a way that makes sense from the standpoint of creating a bigger tax base, creating more opportunities for business. We want responsible growth. We don't want growth that's going to cause more traffic problems. It's going to put added stress on an already stressed system.
And as far as the Charrette and public meeting, what can people expect and who should come?
Well, I think everybody should come in an ideal world. I mean, we want everybody's input, and that's what Charettes are all about. Charettes are about giving people all the data that we've been able to collect on everything from accidents. 1/3 of the accidents happening in downtown West Palm Beach are on Okeechobee. Showing them how many bridge openings and closings we have and how that's affecting traffic. Like basically getting everybody on the same page in terms of a baseline of data. But then also we really need people's input. These are the people that live, work, and play. Not only downtown, but regionally. Okeechobee is a regional connector, and so it's going to need a regional solution. And so you're going to have a very open-minded group of consultants and people that work for the city and the mayor and people who really want to hear from the experts. And the experts in this case are the people that use Okeechobee every day. We will provide them information, as I said, on what we're seeing, what some of the potential solutions are that people are using around the world for these types of problems. And then let's come together over the course of, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and let's vet some of the solutions and see if we can come to some consensus.
Now tell us about the achievements in Washington, D.C. and Chicago. There's a network of bike lanes in Washington, and there's the famous pedestrian Riverwalk project in Chicago. Now you were recognized for putting people first. How do you do that here in West Palm Beach?
Such a great question. It's literally just that. It's putting people first, not machines, vehicles of different types. It's being somewhat mode agnostic, if you will, and saying, we've been on the planet 200,000 years. We've been using our own 2 feet. We've got issues of equity. We've got issues of safety for elderly people, for children. There's actually a much higher percentage of children and families in West Palm Beach than most people think. And so how do we design a system that puts people first and at the same time make sure that businesses can flourish, that we have a situation where people who have to drive to get through West Palm Beach can do that. And I'm a big believer in what I call the win-win-win scenario, where we don't leave people behind, where we understand that the solution may be a little more complex than just, for instance, adding a lane to the road, which might actually cause more of a problem, but it might be a more sustainable it may be a way to actually solve the problem versus dealing with the symptoms of the problem.
Okay, and as we wrap up, are there any other thoughts that you'd like to pass on about the Charrette or the future of mobility in West Palm Beach?
Well, look, I think that West Palm Beach, like a lot of places, is at this inflection point. It's grown organically for a while with maybe not as much thinking into land use and zoning and transportation as it needed. And now you're at this critical point. It's become a hot button issue. People recognize there's a problem. The problem will not fix itself. It takes smart people, local residents, businesses, people from outside coming together and figuring out, what is the future state that we want? What are the outcomes that we all can agree are important? And it's usually, around safety, economy, and resilience, particularly when you're on the water. And so we need to come together, identify those things, vet the potential solutions, and then agree on a path forward. That's what we hope. And I think if we do this well, we can have a win-win-win for the business community, for residents young and old, for people who live in West Palm Beach, and for people who pass through on their way to somewhere else.
Sounds good. Thanks for talking to us, and we'll see you next week.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Again, the 4-day public mobility meeting begins June 12th with cities expert Gabe Klein headlining. This is Cheryl Kahn reporting for WPB-TV.